Best Director, I think, is a very interesting category because you've got people like Martin Scorsese, an acclaimed director, David O. Russell, who's had this incredible comeback over the last 3 movies.
2 years in a row, he's now had actors in all 4 categories, which is almost unheard of. It hasn't happened for 3 decades or something. So he's the outsider. I don't think there's not a lot of buzz around him for American Hustle, and I don't think he'll get it. But it's amazing the way that he's had this turnaround from being someone who was pretty openly hated by some people in Hollywood to being kind of an Academy favourite.
I'm championing Steve McQueen for Best Director for 12 Years a Slave. He's been ignored before with the wonderful Hunger and Shame, and it's about time he was given this recognition.
With the Director Prize, it's more likely to go to a known quantity, and Cuarón's work is unbelievable in Gravity, and that achievement, you know, that film took years and years and years to make, and it is so much a director's achievement that I think that would be a worthy winner as well.
Alfonso Cuarón is probably my pick for Best Director, simply because there's command of special effects, performances, and then the entire sort of control he showed over Gravity and putting it together makes him probably my pick for Best Director. Best Actor is a very, very interesting category this year. Controversially, I think the person I would like to see win is Leonardo DiCaprio. Even in spite of all the backlash Wolf of Wall Street has had, he almost propels that movie. He's in practically every scene of it. And there's one sequence where he's off his face on Quaaludes and he has to get down the stairs into his car. And it's just an incredible physical performance.
Poor Leo is just like always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and I think that's going to be the case again this year. I think it's down to Chiwetel Ejiofor and Matthew McConaughey, and for me, I mean, they're both stunning performances. The interesting thing with Chiwetel Ejiofor is that he's not incredibly well known in Hollywood, although he's been sort of well regarded in British acting circles for ages. And McConaughey is the opposite. He's this huge film star who's recently become a very renowned actor. So I think it'll be an interesting one.
I think it'll be Matthew McConaughey, simply because Dallas Buyers Club, again, it's got a lot of momentum behind it. He seems to be dominating the award so far.
The buzz is behind him. I think there's a lot of goodwill towards him in Hollywood, and I think he's a very affable figure who plays the sort of game very well. So I think it will go his way.
Okay, yeah, Best Actress this year. I think Cate Blanchett seems pretty nailed on to win this. She's obviously been winning so many awards already.
The most likely contender otherwise would be Sandra Bullock, and she's kind of an interesting opposite, or well, mirror image to McConaughey, because you know they're both from Texas. They're both actors who had sort of started out strong-ish and then descended into kind of rom-com territory for quite a while, and she's had a kind of a less extreme comeback because she's had some good films before and obviously was in The Blind Side, but she, you know, Gravity is kind of a similar comeback performance, I think, and she's being regarded once again as a very, very serious actress. Blue Jasmine came out in late summer, early autumn, and I think ever since that people have been saying, oh yeah, Cate Blanchett's definitely going to take it. She's pretty much not got any chance of being sort of overtaken. And then the only very odd element now is there's obviously a lot of unpleasantness surrounding Woody Allen, and there have been some articles and sort of some commentators which have suggested that could sour things for her, which would obviously be ludicrous, and that will depend on whether any of the press is reflected in the voting. But I mean, I still would expect her to take it.
The Best Supporting Actor this year, I think, is a very interesting category. You've got very intense performances by Barkhad Abdi, Michael Fassbender. Then there's sort of the ones that swing more comedically, like Jonah Hill and Bradley Cooper.
Someone like Barkhad Abdi to be nominated and Tom Hanks not to be nominated for Captain Phillips is really interesting, and I think that's a really good sign that people like him and Lupita Nyong'o for supporting actress are being recognised. But I do think Jared Leto is pretty clearly the frontrunner for Dallas Buyers Club.
I have a feeling Jared Leto will win, just simply because there's a huge amount of buzz about his performance.
It's a remarkable performance. Both those performances are obviously physical transformations, and Leto's been away for a while, and he certainly knows how to come back strong.
For Best Supporting Actress, I'm very torn in this category between Jennifer Lawrence for American Hustle and Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave. Very different portrayals, but both really make their mark in different ways.
I think Lupita Nyong'o rightly has been getting much more buzz. I mean, she's fresh out of drama school, she's a newcomer, and she steals, I would say, easily half of 12 Years a Slave from people like Michael Fassbender and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
We've obviously got Sally Hawkins from Blue Jasmine, who, you know, fantastic in that movie. Kind of overshadowed a bit by Cate Blanchett. I think if Cate Blanchett wasn't so good in that film, people would maybe be positioning Sally Hawkins more to win Best Supporting Actress. I think Lupita Nyong'o will win. I think Jennifer Lawrence obviously won last year. I know everyone loves Jennifer Lawrence, but I'm not sure she'll win an Oscar 2 years in a row.
Lupita Nyong'o will win the award for Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave. She's come from totally out of the blue, made such a mark with this, and really, I think she'll be rewarded on the night.
I think it's quite a strong category. There's a lot of really good films in here this year. 12 Years a Slave, obviously, Wolf of Wall Street, both excellent. American Hustle, which I think there's kind of been a bit of a backlash against it because it's quite a shallow movie.
It's nice to see something like Her represented, which is not what a lot of people would have expected. Nebraska, even though Alexander Payne is another Academy favourite, it was a very small film for him with largely unknown casts.
Dallas Buyers Club's kind of a very performance-driven movie, I feel. It's maybe the sort of film you think of as a TV movie, but it's got two incredible performances which kind of dominate it.
I'd love Philomena to win. Maybe it's the Britishness in me backing the underdog, but I find its treatment of very tricky subject matter to be fascinating, heartbreaking and hilarious.
The film I'd love to see win Best Picture is Gravity, simply because I think it's an incredible cinematic experience. You're kind of swept up in it. You're taken away on this incredible journey with Sandra Bullock through space. It's absolutely what cinema is meant to be. 12 Years a Slave, I think, is going to pick up Best Picture, mainly because it's got a lot of awards momentum at the minute. You know, it's won Golden Globes, a lot of critical love for it as well.
The way that Steve McQueen was able to sort of harness this very grand canvas of an issue that has not been really touched on very much in cinema and sort of keep it a very human story and allow for all these great performances to emerge. I think it was a really challenging story to adapt, and I think he did it with a lot of elegance.